Hello everyone and welcome to another Bloomberg Terminal video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the port function, which is the portfolio and risk analytics function in the terminal. It's going to be a cursory look at it. It's fairly complex, fairly in-depth, lots of different areas where you can go into, and I think if we were to spend time taking an exhaustive look, this video would run well over an hour, and I would like to make it a little bit shorter than that. So we're going to be taking a look at some of the important areas, or at least the areas that I feel are important, and go from there. So a portfolio, the port function in the terminal is basically an area where a portfolio manager or those who support a portfolio manager can look at all aspects of a portfolio, both from a risk and return perspective. And in the world of institutional asset management, it's not uncommon for a hedge fund or asset management firm to uh, execute trades through multiple brokers. And so the port function in the terminal is a way for a manager to aggregate all of their positions and see it in one place. So I think the best way to really familiarize ourselves with the port function is to go to the port function. So we'll do that now. I'll type in port, hit enter on my keyboard. And I've pulled up a sample portfolio here for Pershing Square Capital Management. Full disclosure, I have no affiliation with Pershing Square. I have no affiliation with the portfolio manager, Bill Ackman. I just thought this would be a really good portfolio to look at because there's fewer than 10 positions in that particular portfolio. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how do you have access to looking at the Pershing Square portfolio? Bloomberg has this really cool thing where they aggregate 13F filing data and they put it here for you to see. If you're interested in learning more about 13F filings and the requirements, I would refer you to the SEC website. And so, with that said, I should add that because this is going off of 13F data, uh, does not mean this is 100% what the Pershing Square capital management portfolio looks like. Um, they may have smaller positions in here. I think actually the real Pershing Square portfolio has something like 10 positions last I checked. In the terminal here, there's only 7 listed. And then, of course, they may also have derivative positions, hedges, for example, that we don't know about. So the default view in the port function starts you off with the intraday tab, main view, and basically shows you what's going on today in the portfolio. By default, you'll see it's displaying by GICS sectors, and GICS is a global industry classification standard. I don't prefer this view. I like to go to the security view, so you can just click that and then hit go. And it will show us some positions in the portfolio. There looks like there is 7 here. Again, real Pershing Square portfolio has 10 positions last I checked. But this will give a manager a pretty good idea of what's going on during the day. And since the market is closed now, we're not going to see any movement here, but we can see that the portfolio closed up well over 64 million today based on these positions. If I go to top holdings here, well, this will show us our allocations of these positions, pretty huge position in lows, and so forth. Now, I'm not going to make commentary on each and every section here. Again, I did mention that I want to get through this quite quickly, so we'll click through. Now, characteristics is worth talking about because this will give you pretty important information relating to the holdings on your portfolio. So right off the bat, you can see this displays the dividend yield for each of these positions, the PDE ratio, price cash flow, debt to equity, current ratio, return on equity, all the good stuff is displayed here. Cash flow is quite interesting. So this is a pretty substantial portfolio, so the cash flows from dividend payments on positions is going to be also substantial. So if I were to click here on the 2021 August, next month, you will see that they're expecting over $9.5 million in dividend payments on their Lowe's position. If we go to October here, almost $15 million in dividend payments on these two positions. So liquidity risk pertains to obviously market liquidity. When you're running a portfolio this large, liquidity is always a major concern. You're holding millions of shares of these companies, and dumping or adding positions can really mess with the security's price throughout the day. So liquidity is always a concern for a portfolio manager. And of course, this measures the risk um, based on uh, parts of the portions of the portfolio. Key rates mostly applicable to fixed income. It's not going to show us anything here. We'll move over to VAR, which is value at risk. And this will basically give you a value at risk based on Monte Carlo simulations at a given confidence level, which by default is 90%. And of course, we can change the date, and this can actually um, project out. Of course, that's not, well, there's some argument over whether or not it's useful, but um, make of it what you will. We'll take a look at VAR comparisons. And again, I'm only trying to give you a taste of what to expect here in this particular function. Again, we're projecting out here at a confidence level of 90%, which you can change, of course. Here are our factor navigators here, classifying different levels of risk. Scenarios, quite an interesting tab. This will basically um, tell you how a portfolio will react to certain financial events. So you can see here Libya oil shock in February of 2011, Russian financial crisis in 2008, and you can scroll all the way to the end here. Take a look. See the Lehman default. So there's different scenarios that you can take a look at and see, well, how would my portfolio react if a similar situation were to come up today? Okay. I don't want to spend too much time on this, so let's go over to the tracking error and volatility. We'll click through these very quickly just to show you what they look like. If there's any interest in a specific area or tab, I guess, we can drive down. I suspect there may not be, but it's worth just taking a look at for a sec, and if you need to, you can just pause the screen there. So performance, this is where a manager will be spending a lot of their time taking a look at how well their portfolio is performing, or maybe not so much. So let's take a look at, there's our main view here, of course, return month to date, total return year to date, return for the last day. Now let's come over to total return. And we can customize our view, of course, so we can take a look and let's just say year to date here. And we can compare this portfolio to the S&P 500. And it's going to take a sec to put that together. Okay, so every manager wants to know how they're doing compared to the index, and you can see that Pershing Square, at least according to this portfolio, is outperforming the S&P 500 this year. Pershing Square 23.234% versus the 18.6214% for the S&P 500, which is very good. And then we can take a look at the value. Of course, approaching over 12 billion. I think it may actually be over that with the other two positions that are in the portfolio that are not listed here. Period analysis, we'll just take a look at that quickly. Seasonal analysis, manager wants to take a look and see what parts of the year their portfolio is doing well or not well. Then a statistical summary. Okay, and then we can go to attribution. Just take a look at that quickly. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's going to show us anything, but that's okay. We're not really missing out on a whole lot here. At this stage, we're going to end the video because we have pretty much reached the end of the line for the port function. Stick around for more videos. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something, and we'll catch you on the next upload. See you later.